Something there. I must be seeing things. It's the enemy!
Who's that? This is sending reinforcements. HQ. This is...
You must be Sokolov.
Are you one of Volgin's men? You'll never get it from me.
No. I'm a CIA agent. I've come to escort you back to the other side of the Iron Curtain.
You're CIA?
Yeah. I was sent by Major Zero, the man who got you out 2 years ago.
Zero?
I have a message from him.
What is it?
He said to tell you sorry for being so late.
Did he now?
What does it mean?
It means he's a man of his word. But we've got no time for this. You have to get me out of here before they arrive.
Who's they?
Colonel Volgin of Gru. You in the West know him as Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt? Never heard of him.
He's a member of the Army's extremist faction, a man who seeks to seize control of the motherland. Ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis 2 years ago, Khrushchev has been pursuing a policy of peaceful coexistence with the West. Despite resistance and criticism from hawks in the army and the provincial authorities, Khrushchev has managed to suppress the opposition so far. But the failure of his agricultural policies has put him in a precarious position. And on top of that, the tragedy last November.
President Kennedy's assassination.
Precisely. In a sense, Khrushchev has lost his biggest partner, and his power base is rapidly crumbling away. A certain group is plotting to use this opportunity to seize power by rallying the anti-government forces, overthrowing Khrushchev, and installing Brezhnev and Kosygin in his place. The mastermind behind this plot is Colonel Volgin of the GRU. He has control over another secret weapons research facility much like this one, OKB-812, known as the Granin Design Bureau, and is using it to further his plans. But that is not enough to satisfy him. Now he's plotting to seize the secret weapon I have been developing here and use it as leverage in his bid for power. The intelligence says that they are going to make their move during the test.
Then, the soldiers outside.
Exactly. They wouldn't need that many men just to keep me inside. Their orders were to prevent Colonel Volgin from capturing me. Even if it meant killing me in the process. Or so it would seem. Volgin will come. I'm sure of it. You must get me out of here before then.
Leave it to me.
By the way, your Russian is superb. Where did you learn to speak it?
From my mentor.
Is that so? America is truly a frightening country.
Having second thoughts?
No. I have no love for this place. Let's go.
Major, this is Snake. Sokolov is safe with me. He's doing fine. No injuries.
Good work, Snake. Now hurry up and get Sokolov to the recovery point. We'll rendezvous with you there.
Roger.
What about the sentries?
I managed to get past them.
I see.
What about the boss?
We lost contact with the boss some time ago.
What happened?
It's probably just a weak signal. Just hurry and get Sokolov out of there.
Freeze!
So this is the legendary boss.
Huh?
last.
You're from the Ocelot unit of Spetsnaz. Huh. What's a GRU soldier doing here?
Soldier?
He's the Ocelot commander.
Ha! That's Major Ocelot to you. And don't you forget it.
Sokolov is ours. Now get out of here.
And Ocelot never lets his prey escape.
What?
I can't say it feels good to kill a comrade, even if it is for the GRU.
Sokolov, take cover.
You're not the boss, are you?
GRU operatives!
What is that stance? Huh. That gun. If you're not the boss, then die.
Major! Leave it! Shoot the other one! Whoa!
You ejected the first bullet by hand, didn't you? I see what you were trying to do, but testing a technique you've only heard about in the middle of battle wasn't very smart. You were asking to have your gun jam on you. Besides, I don't think you're cut out for an automatic in the first place. You tend to twist your elbow to absorb the recoil. That's more of a revolver technique.
You filthy American dog!
But that was some fancy shooting. You're pretty good.
Pretty good.
Major, do you read me?
I read you. Snake, you all right?
I've run into a few snags. These guys were after Sokolov, too. Apparently they were taking orders from a GRU colonel named Volgin.
A GRU colonel?
Part of an internal Soviet power struggle, according to Sokolov. Something between the KGB and GRU. Between Khrushchev's supporters and Volgin's.
Sokolov was being guarded by the KGB and hunted by GRU? Snake, it sounds like this could be even hotter than Cuba.
I don't like it. Something about the whole thing stinks.
I agree. You'd better hurry.
Sokolov ran off by himself, but I'll catch up to him.
We're counting on you. Snake, stay alert. The KGB and GRU both have their sights set on Sokolov. GRU is a military espionage outfit, the intelligence wing of the Soviet Defense Ministry's General Staff Office. It competes with the KGB, which is under the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and the two are always watching each other.
Never let the left hand know what the right hand is doing.
Exactly. Now, added to that rivalry, there's a vicious power struggle going on between the Khrushchev faction and the anti-Khrushchev faction.
So Khrushchev is using the KGB, and Volgin and the anti-Khrushchev forces are using the GRU?
That's the idea. The two factions are fighting over Sokolov. We're in an extremely dangerous situation here.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Get Sokolov out of there safely. He must not be turned over to the KGB or to the GRU. Sokolov took off in the direction of the rope bridge. Get after him. Hurry!
Major, have you been able to contact the boss?
No.
You really think it's bad reception?
We're looking into it.
Major.
Snake, you've got more important things to worry about than contacting the boss. Right now, Sokolov is out there wandering around the jungle alone. What are you going to do if he gets caught by the enemy? We're still looking into why we lost contact with the boss. I'll let you know as soon as we find anything out. In the meantime, it's your job to find Sokolov and get him to safety. Got it?
Major, do you know anything about this GRU colonel Sokolov was talking about?
Yes.
Who is he?
A most dangerous man indeed. His name is Yevgeny Borisovich Volgin. His code name in the West is Thunderbolt. He's gained a reputation as the most brutal and cold-blooded of the Soviet spy masters. During the war, Volgin was assigned to the domestic branch of the NKVD. He was stationed in the rear of the Soviet line to catch and punish any troops who tried to retreat or desert. He's also notorious for his accomplishments in anti-guerrilla operations in the Ukraine and the Baltic states. Apparently, he likes to boast that he disposed of over 100,000 anti-communists. We also know that he was instrumental in putting down the 1953 insurrection in East Germany and the 1956 uprising in Hungary. He is truly a fearsome man. There's no telling what he might be plotting. Be careful.
I will. Major, what's this Grand and Design Bureau Sokolov was talking about?
OKB 812. It's the same type of top-secret facility as Sokolov's own OKB 754. The director is a man by the name of Alexander Leonovich Granin. He's Sokolov's arch-rival, and the two have competed fiercely against each other since the days of the war. To hear Sokolov tell it, though, the rivalry was really all in Granin's head. In any case, Granin seems to harbor an unusually intense hatred for Sokolov. Knowing that Sokolov was protected under the aegis of Khrushchev, Granin threw in his lot with Volgin, the vanguard of the anti-Khrushchev movement. Apparently, Granin meant to use the funds provided by these opposition forces in order to defeat his old foe. Volgin, for his part, was intrigued by the possibility of using the high-tech weapons Granin created in the fight against Khrushchev. Thus, the two formed an alliance, and Volgin took the Granin Design Bureau under his control.
But now Volgin's got his sights set on Sokolov.
Yes, it would seem that he and Granin aren't getting along so well after all. By the way, Snake, what were you doing back there?
Back where?
You were giving some kind of advice to a GRU commander, weren't you?
Yeah.
He's your enemy. What the hell were you thinking?
Really? What was all that about doing the thing with your hand on the first round or whatever?
Whenever he put a new clip in his gun, he'd always load the first round by hand, whether there was a round left in the chamber or not. It's a technique they teach in the Middle East. By making sure there's always a round in the chamber, you eliminate the risk of pulling the trigger with nothing to fire. He must have heard about it from someone or read it somewhere. In any case, he probably wanted to try it out for himself. And he was obviously motivated by vanity to show off his new technique. That's when you make mistakes. The battlefield is an unforgiving place. The only techniques you can rely on are the ones you've mastered through experience and practice.
Uh-huh. And what were you saying about him being more suited to revolvers?
When he fired, he was bending his elbow sharply to avoid the recoil. It looked like he wasn't aware he was doing it, but that habit can be either a fatal flaw or a gift.
What do you mean?
Automatic weapons use recoil to operate, so if you don't let the recoil hit you, it interferes with the operating cycle of the gun. Basically, he shouldn't be trying to avoid the impact like that. But with a revolver, there's no need to let the recoil hit you. Just the opposite. Avoiding the recoil lets you reduce the strain on your hand and arm. That kid might just be handy with a high-caliber revolver.
Handy? Are you listening to yourself?
What do you mean?
He's the enemy. Why are you giving him advice? Snake.
I don't know. For some reason, I couldn't help but point it out to him.
Snake, are you all right?
Yeah.
Snake, when your stamina gets low, it
Snake, there are rats living in that area. To eat food, press... Do you want to save? Snake, have you ever seen Jason and the Argonauts?
I can't say I have.
It's based on Greek mythology. There's this ship called the Argo, and it sets sail in search of the Golden Fleece. Along the way, it encounters many dangers. They run into all kinds of monsters, like bronze giants and the deadly seven-headed Hydra and the vicious bird-like harpies. The most spectacular part of all was the battle scene with an army of skeletons. It was like they were actually standing up and fighting.
Are you serious?
If you don't believe me, go see it for yourself. Then you'll understand the magic of movies. It was totally amazing.
Yeah, all right. If I make it back alive, I'll go see it.
It just came out, so I'm sure it'll still be playing.
You okay?
Those men were from the Ocelot unit.
Spetsnaz?
Yes. The best crew has to offer. They're coming for me. I'm finished!
Calm down. I'll get you out of here, I promise. And we've got some of the best backup we could ask for.
Look.
That's what they were making you build?
Yes. The Shagohod. The treading behemoth. A tank capable of launching nuclear IRBMs.
It can launch nuclear missiles from that kind of terrain?
Oh, yes. And without support from friendly units.
A nuclear-equipped tank capable of operating solo. Is that thing finished?
No, this is only the end of Phase 1. It won't be truly finished until we complete Phase 2.
Phase 2?
The weapon's true form. If it is completed and the Colonel gets his hands on it, it will mean the end of the Cold War.
The end of the Cold War?
Yes. And then the Age of Fear will truly begin.
A world war.
I had no choice but to cooperate. I didn't want to die. I wanted to see my wife and child again in America. Please, take me to America, quickly. They cannot complete it without my help.
Got it. Let's go. Boss?
Good work, Jack.
What are you doing here?
Sokolov comes with me. My friends, let us fight together again.
I have waited long for this day.
We will fight with you once more. Welcome back, boss.
Now that all 5 of us are together, it's time we go to the depths of hell itself. It's raining blood. Is he crying?
Kuwabara, Kuwabara! Ah, what a joyful scene.
Colonel Volgin.
Welcome to my country. And to my unit.
Boss, what is this?
I'm defecting to the Soviet Union. Sokolov is a little gift from my new hosts.
Recoilless nuclear warheads. These will make a fine gift for me.
This can't be happening.
Who is he? Another one of your disciples? Are we taking him with us?
No, this one is still just a child. Too pure for us Cobras. He has not yet found an emotion to carry into battle.
What are you talking about?
Think you can pull the trigger?
He's seen my face. We can't let him live. If Khrushchev finds out about this, we're finished. He must die.
Wait. He's my apprentice. I'll take care of him. Jack, you can't come with us.
The new blood has been rejected. Are we done here?
Now, onto Sokolov's research facility.
Shagohod is ours.
Drift away. My place is with them now.
Snake, can you hear me?
Yeah. Just barely.
Snake, listen to me. You need emergency medical treatment. Can you move? You've got to get those wounds treated. Hang in there. All right, let's get you fixed up. Paramedic?
Okay, Snake. Just relax and it'll all be over before you know it. Stay with me. I've seen people in worse shape before. Think you can handle it?
Major. The boss. She's defected.
We'll talk about that later. First, we've got to get you patched up.
Okay, here we go. First, open the survival viewer with the start button. If you select cure, you can start the treatment. Healing is divided into treatment using medicine with the item window button and surgical treatment using the weapon window button. Your injuries include a fractured left elbow and rib bone and lacerations on your upper arms, right elbow, and abdomen. They need to be fixed using surgical treatment. Move the healing cursor with the left stick to the affected part of your body. Once you've selected the affected area, hold the weapon window button and use the left stick to select the medical item and then press the enter button. With this method, you can use items to help your recovery process. To treat a bone fracture, first secure the affected area with a fastener and then wrap it in bandages. That should do it. For lacerations, you'll need disinfectant to clean the wound, sutures to stitch it up, styptic to slow the flow of blood, and bandages to wrap the wound. If you do everything I mentioned, the wound should heal completely. Understood?
Yeah.
Stay with me. Go into the survival viewer and treat those wounds.
Snake, hurry and get those injuries treated. Snake, hurry and get those injuries treated.
Snake, what are you doing? Hurry up and treat those wounds. First, open the survival viewer with the start button. If you select cure, you can start the treatment. Healing is divided into treatment using medicine with the item window button and surgical treatment using the weapon window button. Your injuries include a fractured left elbow and rib bone and lacerations on your upper arms, right elbow, and abdomen. They need to be fixed using surgical treatment. Move the healing cursor with the left stick to the affected part of your body. Once you've selected the affected area, hold the weapon window button and use the left stick to select the medical item and then press the enter button. With this method, you can use items to help your recovery process. To treat a bone fracture, first secure the affected area with a fastener and then wrap it in bandages. That should do it. For lacerations, you'll need disinfectant to clean the wound, sutures to stitch it up, styptic to slow the flow of blood, and bandages to wrap the wound. If you do everything I mentioned, the wound should heal completely. Snake, what are you... Ready to save, Snake? Snake, come back in one piece, okay? I'll be waiting.
Don't worry.
Good job, Snake.
We're coming to get you now. Just stay where you are. We'll drop a recovery balloon. Can you set it up?
Excellent. The great success. Thanks to the boss and her cobras, I have both Sokolov and the Shagohod.
What are we going to do with the girl?
Who is she?
Apparently she's Sokolov's woman.
She's a nice catch. I'll take her. Not so fast, my dear. A kiss of death.
Are you KGB?
We may be able to use her. She has spunk.
Shall we take her back to the base?
Perhaps we should. We have no further use for Sokolov's research facility. I think it's time I gave this marvelous new toy a try.
Colonel, even if they are our enemies, they're still our countrymen.
But it won't be me that pulled the trigger. It'll be our friend, the American defector.
You're going to nuke your fellow Russians?
Remember the Alamo.
Colonel!
Silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. Someday you go through the rain, and someday you'll feed on a tree frog. It's so dear that trial to survive. For the day we see new light, I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I lie to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
Currently flying over the Arctic Ocean, altitude 30,000 feet, approaching Soviet airspace. Arriving at the designated drone launch point. Drone oil pressure and voltage are nominal. Payload oxygen supply is nominal. Power supply to payload antifreeze system shows no problems. No gusts. All systems go for drone detachment.
Snake, we can't risk a halo jump this time around. Airspace security has gotten tighter since we were last here. We can't get as close to the ground as we did during the Virtuous mission. So instead, we'll be using one of our newest weapons. Snake, you're being given an honor on par with Alan Shepard. This is our last chance. Show your patriotism. If you fail, you'll be back in a hospital bed again, waiting for the firing squad. So how does it feel to be a patient in one of the most advanced ICUs in the world?
Would you do me a favor and tell the suits about visiting hours? I'll never get better with them assaulting me day and night with their questions.
Must be part of the top brass's inquiry.
More like an interrogation. According to them, I'm a traitor and an accomplice to the boss's defection.
They're just looking for a scapegoat.
Does that mean they're after you, too?
Let's just say neither one of us is going to be made a national hero out of this.
Does this mean Fox is going to die?
No. This fox is still one step ahead of the hounds. The reason I came to see you today, Jack, it's time for Fox to clear its name.
What are you talking about?
The situation has changed. We still got a chance to come out of this one alive.
Yeah, what kind of chance?
Don't get too excited. Here, have a cigar. It's Cuban. This morning, I had a meeting with the CIA.
They decided when they're going to execute us?
No. Something even bigger. Yesterday, the White House received an unexpected call.
President Johnson?
Yes, I hear you, Mr. Chairman.
It was a hotline call from Khrushchev to President Johnson.
From the head of the Soviet Union?
That's right.
A few days ago, one of our country's main design bureaus, OKB 754, was destroyed in a nuclear explosion. At about the same time, our anti-aircraft radar picked up a signature that appeared to come from one of your military aircraft. Does any of this sound familiar to you? In retaliation, I have placed our armed forces on secondary alert. Depending on your response, I may be left with no choice but to order the military to maximum alert and unleash Armageddon. With the help of your predecessor, I was able to survive the Cuban incident. But my power is not as great as it once was. If I am to survive this crisis, I must have your full cooperation.
I should have contacted you myself. Did you know that one of our soldiers defected to your country a week ago?
No.
So you haven't heard then. The man who arranged the defection was a GRU colonel by the name of Yevgeny Borisovich Volgin.
Volgin? Of the Brezhnev faction. Go on. Who is the soldier?
Her name is the Boss. She's a living legend. During World War II, she was the one who led us to victory in that war. In Russia, you know her as Voyevoda.
You mean the Boss? The mother of your special forces?
Yes, that's the one. And she took 2 miniature nuclear shells along with her.
The Boss took 2 miniature nuclear shells.
I'm afraid so. I believe they were a gift for her new hosts. The Davy Crockett Atomic Battle Group delivery system was completed 2 years ago. But serious problems were found with the launcher's range and precision. Although they were mass-produced, they've never been deployed in battle.
But Sokolov's research facility was completely wiped out. The whole area is polluted.
I can only offer you my deepest condolences over this terrible tragedy.
So, the Boss, with Colonel Volgin's help, stole 2 experimental nuclear shells and took them with her as gift when she defected. Then, shortly thereafter, Sokolov's design lab, a top-secret military research facility, was destroyed by one of these weapons. Am I right so far?
Yes, that's correct.
And the American government denies any involvement in the affair. Is that right as well?
That's correct. We were not involved in any way.
Then what was a U.S. military aircraft doing on our radar screen? It was clearly in violation of our airspace. And yet you say it was not acting under your orders.
That's correct.
You expect me to believe that this was all the work of a single soldier?
I don't know what else to tell you.
The army insists that this is all a ploy on your part.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Our government had nothing to do with it.
And I would like dearly to believe you. However, I'm afraid my power over the military has weakened since the Cuban incident. I will need some kind of proof that this was not the action of the American government. You have 1 week. You must catch the Boss yourselves and recover the remaining nuclear device. Then, you must find some way to prove your innocence.
Prove our innocence?
Yes, preferably something painful. Prove to me that this is not merely another one of your tricks.
The Boss should be close to Colonel Volgin. How about a little co-action?
I would not expect too much if I were you. The political situation here is unstable. And Colonel Volgin is a member of the Brezhnev faction, which seeks to topple my government. 1 week. You have only 1 week. And if it is not too much to ask, do something about Volgin as well.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. It means nothing. Call it a modest gentleman's agreement to ensure our continued relationship.
What if we can't prove our innocence?
Then I will be unable to restrain the military. I will be ousted, and they will seek their revenge.
A nuclear attack on the United States?
I leave the disposal of this situation entirely to your discretion, Mr. President.
Disposal?
If you fail, it will mean the beginning of a new world war.
To put it simply, in order to avoid a full-scale nuclear conflict, we have to prove that America was not involved in that explosion.
And eliminating the Boss ourselves will prove America's innocence?
Right. The higher-ups have decided that you're the only one capable of pulling this off. You were her last apprentice. Screw this one up, and we'll both be 6 feet under. There's no choice.
Are the Russians going to be helping us?
The KGB has promised to lend us one of their communications satellites so that you and I can talk to each other.
That's it?
They've also put us in touch with a couple of insiders.
Insiders?
There was a defection in September 1960. Do you remember it?
You mean the 2 NSA codebreakers who went over to the Soviet Union?
Precisely. Since then, they've apparently been training with the KGB for exactly this kind of situation. Their codenames are Adam and Eva. I've been told that Adam has infiltrated Volgin's ranks. We've also arranged for him to provide you with an escape route. You'll need to rendezvous with him when you get there.
Control. Unidentified aircraft detected. Altitude 30,000 feet. It's fast. Estimated airspeed exceeding Mach 3. Bearing south. I'm about to lose it.
This is Snake. Do you read me?
Loud and clear. Glad to see you landed safely.
I got blown pretty far off target.
Snake, let's go over your mission objectives one more time. Rescue Sokolov. Find out what's happened to the Shagohod, then destroy it. And finally, eliminate the boss.
Eliminate the boss.
This mission will be codenamed Operation Snake Eater.
Because I'll be taking on the boss in our Cobra unit, right?
Don't forget about Colonel Volgin.
I'm not a hired killer.
I know, but that was the Kremlin's demand.
Demand? You mean it wasn't just a request? What's it to us if the Khrushchev regime is threatened by the Colonel and his faction?
If supporting the current regime helps us avoid a nuclear exchange, then that's what we'll do.
And what are the CIA's demands?
Our priorities are the rescue of Sokolov and the destruction of the Shagohod.
Roger that, Major Tom.
Hold on, Snake.
What now?
I'm changing my codename. It turns out Tom wasn't the most auspicious choice.
What do you mean?
Well, the truth is, when I chose my codename, I picked the wrong one.
The wrong one?
Did you ever see the movie The Great Escape? It came out last year.
I must have missed that one.
Anyway, it's based on a true story about prisoners who escaped from a POW camp in Nazi Germany. The prisoners dig 3 tunnels as part of their plan, but the Nazis find 2 of the tunnels before they're finished. The prisoners succeed in escaping by using the last remaining tunnel. The names of those 3 tunnels were Dick, Harry, and Tom.
I get it. You used the name of the tunnel they escaped in as your code name because you thought it would bring you good luck.
Yes, that's exactly right. At least, that was the plan.
But
I got the name wrong. The one they escaped in was Harry. Tom was one of the unlucky tunnels. It was discovered by the Nazis before it was finished. I watched the movie again just to make sure. In fact, I even ordered the actual film from the movie company.
yeah, it doesn't sound like the greatest name to use. So what should I call you?
You know, let's just use Zero, like we've been doing all along.
All right, then. Major Zero it is. We'll start over from square one.
From square zero. My frequency is 140.85. Oh, I almost forgot. Paramedic is with us again on this mission.
Is this her last chance, too?
If we fail, she'll have her medical license revoked. It's more or less the same kind of fate. Her frequency is the same as during the Virtuous mission, 145.73. She'll be recording your mission data as well, just like the last time. That frequency is also the same, 140.96. And there's one more person on your support team. His name is Mr. Sigint. He's an expert on the latest in weapons and equipment technology. You'll be going up against some of the world's most advanced weaponry when you infiltrate the research facility. If you have any questions, just ask him. His frequency is 148.41.
Mr. Sigint. Got it.
Adam, your KGB contact, is waiting for you at the abandoned factory up ahead.
The same factory Sokolov was being held in last week.
Yes, meet up with Adam first. He's cleared the way for you to rescue Sokolov.
How will I know this Adam guy when I see him?
You'll know once you reach the factory. The whole area's been polluted by the fallout from that nuclear blast. No one else would dare come close. The password is, "Who are the Patriots?" and "Lali Lule Lo."
Lali Lule Lo. Gotcha.
You've been equipped with a 45 for this mission. Be careful, it's noisy.
I thought standard Fox procedure was procure on-site weapons acquisition.
The circumstances are different this time. You're now on an official mission for the United States government. It would be necessary to make your presence known to a certain extent, to the Khrushchev regime at the very least. But remember, this is still a sneaking mission. Snake, if you fail this mission, it will mean an all-out nuclear war. Keep that in mind and proceed with extreme caution.
Understood. Commencing Operation Snake Eater.
Snake, your first task is to meet up with Adam, the contact provided by the KGB. The rendezvous point is the abandoned factory to the north of your current position. Head north.
The abandoned factory. That's where I met Sokolov during the Virtuous mission.
Correct, but we can't afford to have the same thing happen this time.
I know.
Like the Virtuous mission, Operation Snake Eater is a solo sneaking mission. There are no units in the field to back you up. Avoid engaging the enemy whenever possible. Your first priority is to remain unseen. Use the camouflage option in the survival viewer and choose your camouflage wisely. Proceed with caution. Unlike the Virtuous mission, this is a night operation. You'll get lost more easily in the dark, but it'll also make your camouflage more effective and make it harder for the enemy to see you. On the other hand, it will also be more difficult for you to see them. You'll also find that different animals are active. Some of these nocturnal animals are poisonous, so stay alert. Paramedic is with us again to provide information on the local plants and animals. Give her a call if there's anything you need to know. Operation Snake Eater is different from the Virtuous mission in that you won't be able to complete it in just a few hours. The time limit set by Khrushchev is 1 week. Within that time, you'll have to rescue Sokolov, defeat Volgin, destroy the Shagohod, and...
I know.
Good. In any event, you'll not be allowed to return until you've accomplished your objectives. Survival in the field will be critical in this mission, and the most important survival technique of all is, of course, finding food. You can get food in the same way you did during the Virtuous mission, by capturing it. The enemy presence in that area is still light. You should try and get as much food as possible while you can. Thanks to last week's nuclear incident, the Soviet Union is now on secondary alert. We're one step away from a nuclear war.
DEFCON 2, huh?
In American parlance, yes. From what Western intelligence has been able to gather, the radical elements in the Soviet command are showing signs of impatience. They say we're on the brink of World War III here. And with Khrushchev's position getting weaker every day, I worry whether he'll be able to hold them back.
1 week.
Yes, America must eliminate the boss by its own hand to prove its innocence. There is no other way to resolve the crisis. Everything rests on your shoulders, Snake. Failure is not an option.
I know. Major, what should I do with this wreck of a drone?
Just leave it there.
Are you sure?
Yes.
But isn't this thing top secret?
Yes, it is. After the U-2 spy plane incident 4 years ago, plans were laid out for future spy missions in Soviet airspace to be carried out by an unmanned craft. That craft was the D-21 spy drone, the basis of the one you came in on. The D-21 is launched from a craft called the M-21. The M-21 itself is a derivative of the A-12, a supersonic long-range spy plane currently being developed as the successor to the U-2. However, for this mission, we used a modified YF-12A, a long-range interceptor version of the A-12. After being released from the mothership, the drone can achieve speeds upwards of Mach 3 at high altitude using its ramjet engine. It can't be shot down by ground-to-air missiles, and it's nearly undetectable by radar. With Selinoyarsk in such a high state of alert after our last escapade, this was the only reliable way to get you in.
This is all top-secret military technology. Are you telling me I'm supposed to just leave it here?
That's right.
Why?
The purpose of Operation Snake Eater is to send an American agent into the field in order to eliminate a defector and traitor, namely the boss. Part of that mission involves making sure the Soviets find out what we're doing.
So we have to leave behind some kind of evidence that the U.S. was involved.
Don't worry. The technologically sensitive components of the craft were rigged to self-destruct when it landed. The only thing the Soviets are going to find is a pile of American-made scrap metal.
Got it. Just one thing, though.
What is it?
I think they'd better redesign the landing impact buffer. People are going to get hurt landing that thing.
I'll let them know.
Major, I appreciate you allowing me to use weapons, but shouldn't I be carrying some rubles?
You mean fake currency?
Right.
Snake, do you remember the Francis Gary Powers incident back in 1960?
Powers was flying a U-2 on a spy mission for the CIA in Soviet airspace. He was shot down and taken prisoner.
His confession brought to light the fact that the CIA was spying in Soviet airspace. As a result, the US-Soviet summit scheduled for 2 weeks later was cancelled.
Yeah, I remember.
U-2 pilots are required to carry items that mask their identity. Powers was carrying ruble, mark and lira coins, as well as French gold coins. He was also carrying 2 gold watches and 7 women's rings. All of these objects were meant to conceal his national origins. But for this mission, we've got to demonstrate to the Khrushchev regime that America is involved. There's no need to conceal your origins. And besides, all you need to do is complete your mission. As long as you're not captured or killed, the details will take care of themselves.
Okay.
The Soviet intelligence community must be up in arms about the boss's defection. The great Voyevoda has abandoned America and embraced the Soviet Union.
Voyevoda?
Apparently, that's what they call the boss behind the Iron Curtain. It means warrior or mighty soldier in Russian. When used to refer to a woman, it means something close to Lady Knight. In Russia, where they've had a number of female emperors throughout their history, it's a term of great respect. Well, poetic in a way. The boss's exploits have made her name famous in the East as well.
Major, why did the boss defect?
I don't know, but I will tell you this. America is all too eager to get rid of her.
What do you mean?
She knows too many of our secrets. If she were to relay all the top-secret information she knows to the Soviet bloc, it would put us at a severe disadvantage. It might even lead to the downfall of the West. Even if we survive, the boss is still too much of a hero to us. With her in the Soviet camp, we'd suffer a fatal loss of morale at home. There are even whispers that some of the less stalwart elements of the military might follow her example and defect themselves. I assume you're aware that since your last mission, several key figures within the CIA have been placed under house arrest.
Yeah.
The loss of the boss has been a painful one indeed.
What about you?
Me? I still can't believe it. As a comrade, I would have placed my trust in her before my own family. But now that I think about it, The boss always seemed to have an aura of mystery about her. I never would have expected it to manifest in this way, though. Oh, well, it won't do to get all misty-eyed about it. She's an enemy now, worthy of nothing more than our contempt.
Understood. Major, tell me a little bit more about the space race.
In 1957, the Soviet Union succeeded in launching their first artificial satellite, Sputnik, into orbit. Having been beaten to the chase by the Soviets, the US government accelerated its own space program in an effort to catch up. The following year, the space development programs of the various service branches were united to form the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA. That same year, the Mercury program was launched with the goal of putting a man into space. 7 candidates were chosen from the military as the first astronauts. These were the men with the right stuff. But as you know, it was a Soviet cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, who made the first successful manned spaceflight 3 years ago. NASA's first successful ballistic flight came 1 month after Gagarin's mission, with the Freedom 7 carrying Alan Shepard into space. After that, with America still lagging behind the Soviets in orbital flight, President Kennedy made a momentous decision. That America would put a man on the moon before the end of the decade.
Yeah, I heard that speech, but a lot of guys I knew weren't real happy about it. They said no one was going to make them go on a mission to blow up some damn moon base.
But rocket research and missile research are closely related. Imagine, if you will, a Soviet Union able to send wave after wave of nuclear missiles raining down on Washington from a base on the surface of the moon. Even if that's still a long way from reality, if we lose the initiative, we may never get it back. We're left with no choice but to keep moving forward one step at a time. The Gemini program, launched 2 years ago, represents the initial step towards establishing a moon base. And yet, I don't want to call President Kennedy a liar, but I simply can't imagine that in 6 years man will have reached the moon.
I don't know. I never even thought we'd make it up into space. I guess it all depends on whether you have the will to make it happen.
Perhaps you're right. Snake, let's go over the controls for CQC one more time. Press the CQC button once to throw a punch. Press it repeatedly to launch a combo attack. CQC doesn't really start to shine, however, until you grab an enemy. Press and hold the CQC button to extend your right hand and grab the enemy. Move the left stick at the same time and you can knock the enemy to the ground. If you don't move the left stick, you can get behind the enemy and hold him prisoner. When you're holding an enemy from behind, he'll be almost completely helpless. From there are a number of things you can do. By pressing the CQC button again firmly, you can slit his throat using your knife. By moving the left stick along with the CQC button, you can knock him to the ground. You can also choke the enemy by tapping the CQC button rapidly. You can either render him unconscious or kill him outright. It's up to you. If you keep the CQC button pressed, you can use the left stick to move around with the enemy in your grip. You can also press the weapon button to use the weapon you have equipped. The enemy will be hesitant to attack as long as you're using one of their comrades as a human shield. Use that moment of hesitation to attack in first-person view. By pressing in and holding the left stick, you can interrogate the enemy. You might be surprised at the things you can learn. But stay alert. While the enemy is nearly helpless in your grasp, if you give him a chance, he'll turn the tables on you. You can only grab an enemy using CQC when you're using a weapon that will allow you to reach out with your right hand, such as the survival knife, a handgun, or your bare hands. You can't grab the enemy when using weapons that take both hands to use, such as assault rifles, or that prevent you from controlling the enemy with your right hand, like hand grenades. In short, you can't use CQC when equipped with assault rifles or hand grenades. You can tell whether a weapon is compatible with CQC or not by looking at its icon. Snake, camouflage and face paint alone won't make you blend in completely. In addition to the camouflage itself, your physical position is a crucial dynamic you should keep in mind. Snake, when your stamina gets...
You can capture animals alive by... When you're bitten by a venomous animal such as a snake or a spider, or hit by a poisoned arrow, the poison will start to affect your body. Your life will decrease with each passing minute, so cure the poison as soon as possible. To cure poison, go into Cure in the survival viewer and inject yourself with a dose of serum. You can get serum from enemies. Either hold them up or shake their bodies down after you defeat them. I'm pretty sure you can also get serum by capturing the rabbits that live in that area. When you get shot, you'll sometimes suffer a gunshot wound. The chance of suffering a serious injury is especially high at close range. When you have a gunshot wound, your maximum life will decrease depending on its severity. Gunshot wounds will heal naturally over time, but if you want it to heal faster, go into Cure in the survival viewer and treat it. To treat a gunshot wound, you need to dig out the bullet with your knife, disinfect the wound, and apply styptic. Then wrap it in a bandage. When all that's finished, the gunshot wound will be fully healed. Snake, that's the home to the otten frog. The otten frog is a large, corpulent species of frog. They're known as a delicacy, so it might be worth catching them for food. The otten frog was originally found only on Amami Oshima in Japan. Frogs usually have 4 toes on their front legs, but the otten frog is unique in that it has 5.
Got it. By the way, you said they were known as a delicacy, right?
Right.
So that means they must taste pretty good, huh?
I guess so. I hear that in Japan, otten frog sashimi and sukiyaki are popular dishes.
Really?
Yeah.
Japan, huh? That place is starting to sound better and better.
Snake, that area is inhabited by the Japanese flying squirrel. Japanese flying squirrels are non-venomous, and they shouldn't attack you. The head, front legs, hind legs, and tail of the Japanese flying squirrel are connected by a membrane of skin, which allows the squirrel to glide from tree to tree. It says here that if it catches a good wind, it can fly more than 100 yards.
Sounds like it's going to be tough to catch one.
So, aren't you going to ask me?
You know it. How does it taste?
Not sure.
Not sure?
The guy doesn't say anything about it.
Why not?
Gee, maybe it's because no one would ever think of eating a flying squirrel.
Then I must be the first one.
Maybe you are. There should be a mushroom called the Baikal scaly-tooth growing in that area. The Baikal scaly-tooth mushroom is used as an antidote to poison. It usually grows on the trunks of trees, so look for it there.
How does it taste?
I think you're going to be disappointed.
Damn.
Oh, quit your whining. You know what they say, good medicine tastes bitter. Burns happen when you're engulfed in flames or get caught in an explosion. When you've got a burn, your maximum life will go down depending on its severity. Burns heal naturally over time without you doing anything, but if you go into Cure in the survival viewer and treat the burn, you can heal it instantaneously. To treat the burn, lightly spread the ointment over the wound and wrap it in bandages. If you do both of these things, you can heal the burn altogether. There should be an herb called Chinese plantain growing in that area. The Chinese plantain is an herb that resembles a plantain root. The leaves and seeds contain large amounts of aucubin, choline, and tannin. When you mash it up and apply it to a wound, it helps stop the flow of blood and eases the pain a bit. The Chinese plantain becomes a styptic when you pick it up. If you see one, don't forget to take it with you. Snake, I think there's a plant called Slav horehound growing in that area. Slav horehound is an herb in the horehound family. It contains large amounts of diterpene, flavonoids, and alkaloids, which give it strong germicidal properties. If you find one, it should make a good disinfectant. You should be able to find ezocomfrey in that area. Ezocomfrey is a plant in the comfrey family that's found only in Selinoyarsk. If you find one, you can use it as a cast to treat broken bones.
How can a plant be turned into a splint?
The roots of the ezocomfrey are extremely sticky. You can use them as a kind of plaster cast to fasten the affected area in place.
I get it.
When you get hurt, your body will heal itself naturally over time. However, the speed at which to eat food...
Yo! You're Snake, aren't you?
And you're Sigint?
None other.
I heard that you're an expert on weapons, equipment, and cutting-edge technology.
Close.
Huh?
I am the expert on weapons, equipment, and cutting-edge technology.
Ah.
I'm the guy that designed your trank gun, active sonar, and motion detector. If you want to know anything about weapons or equipment you find in the field, just send me a message and ask. Later. Sounds like the Cobra unit's members' names came from the specific emotions they each carry into battle.
Emotions?
Yeah. For unbearable torment, the pain. For true oblivion, the end. For infinite rage, the fury. For absolute terror, the fear. And for unsurpassed bliss, the joy.
The joy?
It's another name for the boss. Because of the joy she feels in battle, I suppose.
Ah.
During the war, she had a partner named the Sorrow. Sorrow and joy. They say there couldn't have been a more perfect pair. The Davy Crockett's that the boss took with her when she defected are mortars that fire nuclear warheads. They're named after Davy Crockett, the hero who died defending the Alamo in the Texan War of Independence.
Remember the Alamo?
That's right. The warheads are equivalent to between 10 and 20 tons of TNT. Every building within 150 yards of the hypocenter is completely obliterated. But the warheads the boss had with her were some kind of experimental super bomb, so they're actually even more powerful than that. I don't even want to think about what would happen if she used it again. Snake, you know what you have to do.
Yeah, I know.
You're wearing the tiger stripe pattern camouflage, huh? Tiger stripe is a forest camouflage. As you may have guessed by the name, it mimics the stripe pattern on a tiger's coat. It was originally worn by South Vietnamese Marines. Then it caught the attention of an American military advisor, and now they're thinking of introducing it into all kinds of special forces units. It works best in places with lots of trees and grass, but it should blend in with dirt and mud, too. You mean you're not wearing any face paint? You can take off your face paint by selecting No Paint from Face. Just select No Paint when you want to skip wearing any face paint at all. But your camo index is never going to be as high without face paint as it is with it. Unless you want the enemy to see you, you ought to be wearing face paint. Pattern clothing, face paint, tactical movements. These are the elements of camouflage that will allow you to deceive your enemy. To camouflage yourself, first press the Start button to check out the survival viewer. Then select Camouflage, and you'll see two more options, Face and Uniform. Choose Face to apply face paint, and Uniform to change your field uniform. Simple, really. Make sure and choose something that'll match your surroundings. Covering your body is a good start, but a bare face will kill even the best camouflage. If the situation calls for a high camo index, you better break out the face paint. To apply face paint, select Face from the Camouflage menu in the Survival viewer. Then choose a face paint that blends in with your surroundings. The camo index, located in the top right corner of the screen, tells you if your outfit is getting the job done. The higher the value of this index, the harder it is for the enemy to spot you. Try your best to keep the camo index as high as possible. I heard you fought against KGB troops in the Virtuous mission, but this time you're up against Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz is the Special Forces unit of GRU, the intelligence wing of the Soviet Defense Ministry's General Staff Office. Spetsnaz troops undergo rigorous training in all types of special ops, from assassination and demolition to intelligence gathering. That and Volgin's loaded, man. His unit is one of the best equipped in the entire Soviet Union, if not the best. I heard the enemies you encountered in the Virtuous mission were only carrying weapons like AKs and grenades. Well, it ain't that simple anymore. In addition to AKs, some of the patrols you'll encounter might be equipped with Scorpion submachine guns and shotguns. The Scorpion is even lighter than the AK, making it much easier to handle. Basically, a guy with a Scorpion is not gonna miss you as often as with an AK. The shotgun is a powerful weapon. One blast is enough to floor you and you're likely to be seriously wounded. Watch for that, man. So you've got your uniform and your face paint, but that alone isn't enough to make for good camouflage. Camouflage means blending in with nature. To make your disguise complete, you've got to keep a low profile and avoid overt movements. As long as you've got the uniform and face paint working for you, and you're lying flat keeping still, you won't have to worry about being spotted from a distance. On the flip side, dancing around your enemy in perfect camo is still a dead giveaway. So if the enemy's looking for you and he's getting too close for comfort, just lay low for the time being. You're on a solo sneaking mission. Your success is based on your ability to survive. That's where the survival viewer comes in. The survival viewer contains everything you need to survive out in the field. Use camouflage to change your camouflage and backpack to select your gear. Use food to eat, cure to treat wounds, and map to view a detail of the area. You've also got options that let you change the settings to suit your mission preferences. Got it? Whenever you find a new weapon or piece of equipment, the first thing you do is drop it in your backpack, right? But you can't use your new goodies if they're just sitting in your backpack. To use a weapon or piece of equipment, first you have to take it out of your backpack and place it on your person. To take an item out of your backpack, use the backpack option in the survival viewer. To place a weapon on your person, select Weapon under the Backpack section of the survival viewer. See that window on the left? That shows a list of all the weapons you've got. Choose the weapon you want to carry from the list and press the Enter button to take it out of your backpack. Just remember that there's a limit to the number of weapons you can carry at the same time, so put back any stuff you don't need. To put a weapon on your person back into your backpack, choose a weapon that's already on you from the weapon list and press the Enter button. Or you can just line up the icon for the weapon you want to put away with the lower right and press the Enter button. Do whatever works best. Keep in mind that every weapon and piece of equipment weighs something. The heavier the equipment you're lugging around, the faster you'll burn up stamina. You can see how much your equipment weighs by going into the backpack screen in the survival viewer. If you're trying to conserve your stamina, make some cuts and toss the equipment you don't need in your backpack. When you're using the assault rifle, pressing the weapon button will hold it at waist level. That's nice if you need to drop nearby enemies with some speed, but it's difficult to aim straight. If you need to take more accurate shots, like tagging enemies in vital spots from a distance, use the aim button instead. Equip the weapon in first-person view and press the aim button to aim the gun from the shoulder. You can take precise aim with the front and rear sights. When you're focusing on your mark, it will be as accurate as if you were zooming in. When you fire continuously with a gun like the assault rifle, the recoil will cause your shots to veer off target. But if you crouch or lie down, you can suppress the recoil and keep a tight fire pattern. So when you gotta hit that bullseye, take a low position. When you're using the assault rifle, pressing the weapon button will hold it at waist level. That's nice if you need to drop nearby enemies with some speed, but it's difficult to aim straight. If you need to take more accurate shots, like tagging enemies in vital spots from a distance, use the aim button instead. Equip the weapon in first-person view and press the aim button to aim the gun from the shoulder. You can take precise aim with the front and rear sights. When you're focusing on your mark, it will be as accurate as if you were zooming in. Aha! You're using the easy gun.
Yeah. What is this gun anyway? I've never seen anything like it.
Of course you haven't. It's a noise-suppressed tranquilizer gun I designed especially for Fox.
A noise-suppressed tranquilizer gun? But it doesn't have a...
It doesn't need a suppressor.
What do you mean?
The noise-suppressing mechanism is built into the tranquilizer rounds themselves. The inside of the powder case contains a tiny piston. It's set up so that when the firing gas pushes the piston pushes the bullet out of the chamber. The firing gas is sealed within the chamber by the piston, preventing it from escaping outside. That's why there's no sound when it fires.
Fascinating.
While I was at it, I also fitted it with an experimental laser sight. That ought to give you a good aim even when you're shooting from the hip. And just having the easy gun equipped makes it tougher for your camo index to drop.
Wow.
And it'll help you recover your stamina.
Nice.
On top of all that, it looks just like a Liberator.
A what?
A Liberator. We supplied them to the resistance in Europe during World War II. They look alike, don't they?
Yeah.
To be honest, that's the part I had the most trouble with. Getting the feature I just mentioned to work in a gun of that size and shape wasn't easy.
But why?
Why what?
Why'd you go to all the trouble of making it look like a Liberator?
'Cause it looks cool, man. Why do you think? I see you've picked up a directional microphone. The directional microphone is exactly what it looks like, a listening device. When you equip it, you go into first-person view and the mic will pick up sounds in whatever direction you point it in. The directional microphone will let you hear a lot of things you couldn't hear otherwise, like really soft noises and the footsteps of faraway enemy soldiers. You ought to find it useful when you want to know whether there's an enemy on the other side of the woods or something. Try it out. I've never seen a grenade like that one before. There are two basic types of grenades. Fragmentation grenades, which use shrapnel to kill or maim the target, and explosive grenades, which use the blast from the explosion as the offensive means. But the grenade you've got there isn't either of those. My best guess is that it's meant to knock the enemy out without hurting them. Most likely it's an entirely new kind of weapon developed exclusively at Groznygrad. I've heard that the SAS is working on a low-impact grenade for training purposes, but I never thought they'd be used in an actual battle. The flash of light that occurs when the grenade explodes is probably produced by magnesium. It's the same stuff that's used in camera flashes. I'm thinking they cut down on killing power by reducing the amount of explosives and made up for it by making the flash and bang so strong that it overwhelms the enemy's senses. I guess you could call it a stun grenade.
If I'm going to be stunned, I'd rather it be by a woman.
Snap out of it. Anyone around when that thing goes off will be laid out. It ought to come in handy when you're trying to storm a room or when you don't want to kill the enemy. Hey, you've got an M1911A1.
Yeah, a 45. 50 years since the Army adopted the first model, and they're still using them. It's a real gem of an automatic pistol.
But aren't you gonna need more than just one little handgun?
Not at all. When you're in a tight spot or fighting in close quarters, sometimes a handgun works better than a rifle. And if I equip a knife at the same time, I can instantaneously switch over to hand-to-hand combat.
I see. Ah, you're using the survival knife.
Yeah, this thing provides me with all the bare essentials I need to survive in the field.
Hey, wait. What'd you do with the knife I made you? That was a work of art. It had matches and fish hooks and thread and stuff in the grip.
Sorry to have to tell you this, but that thing is useless in a fight.
No way. Really?
Yeah, when the grip is hollowed out like that, there's not as much space to stabilize the blade. So the joint between the blade and the grip is weaker. That makes it easier to break.
I get it. You're right. With your knife, you don't have to worry about it breaking no matter how much you swing it around. So the important thing is durability. Man, I gotta write this stuff down. Next time, I'll make it so the matches and fish hooks go in the sheath instead.
Huh.
I see you're using the binoculars. Those are high-performance binoculars made especially for the military. They're completely waterproof and are filled with nitrogen gas to prevent lens fog. The eyepiece, objective lenses, and the prism have been coated to reduce glare. They ought to work plenty well even in dark places. And they're even equipped with autofocus and zoom functions. Won't find a better pair of binoculars than that.
What are you, a binocular salesman?
Hey, I know a good product when I see one, that's all.
Huh.
Snake, you smoking a cigarette?
It's not a cigarette. It's a cigar.
Same thing?
It's not the same thing.
Doesn't matter to me. What I want to know is, why'd you take it with you?
Because I need it.
For what?
I can't smoke a cigar if I don't have one, can I?
So you just wanted to smoke it?
Yeah.
Man, you got problems. Do what you want. Just keep in mind that your life goes down when you're smoking it. When you fire continuously with a gun like the using the anti-personnel sensor, I see. The sensor vibrates when it detects organic reactions from human targets. It's been adjusted to respond only to humans, so unlike other sensors, it'll let you ignore animals and focus only on the enemy. It'll even detect enemies that aren't moving, and you won't have to worry about it giving away your position. But on the flip side, it won't tell you the exact location of the target. Keep that in mind when you're using it. Also, remember that when you use it in first-person view, it'll only scan in the direction you're facing. Tree bark is... The motion detector will display any moving objects in your vicinity. But the enemy isn't the only thing that's moving around in the jungle. If there are animals moving nearby, the sensor will pick up those animals too. And remember that there's a limit to how sensitive it is. Enemies and animals that don't move around very much won't get picked up. Active sonar sends out a special type of sound wave whenever you press the left stick. It uses the echo from those waves to calculate and display the position of nearby objects. Unlike the motion detector, it'll show you objects that aren't moving. But because you're blasting out sound waves, there's a risk that the noise will alert enemies and animals to your presence. Be careful about when and where you use it. So, you're wearing woodland face paint. The woodland paint is most effective in forest environments. It'll work best if you use it when infiltrating forest areas.
Tell me something, Sigint.
What's that?
What does Sigint mean, anyway?
It's short for Signal Intelligence.
Signal Intelligence?
The part of intelligence that deals with electronic information. Things like intercepting and analyzing electronic communications, determining enemy force strength and positioning from radar emissions and radio chatter. You get the idea. Code breaking is considered part of Sigint as well. 40 years from now, we'll be in the age of electronic warfare. It won't be long before information replaces firepower as the most valuable commodity on the battlefield.
So you're saying they won't need guys like me anymore?
Sorry to break it to you, but that's not gonna happen. No matter how advanced our technology gets, there's still no substitute for human beings. Anyway, the Major is a man of foresight. He knew the electronic age was coming, and so he called out to me.
And you responded?
Well, I didn't have any place else to go.
You couldn't find a job?
Nope. None of the places where they do this kind of high-tech research would even let me in the door.
Why not? I know you've got social problems, but...
Come again?
Nothing. I mean, someone with your talent ought to be able to...
Yeah, well, maybe it has something to do with the fact that I'm black. The Major, though, he doesn't care about what color you are. I've never met anyone like him before. He's different, you know?
Oh, yeah, I know.
I don't think racism's going to go away even in the 21st century. But I want to work with computers and use them to bring people closer together. In the digital world, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white, American or Russian or whatever. Everybody's going to be the same. That's what I think. Wearing black face paint, huh? Painting your face with black paint should give you a high rate of camouflage in dark areas. You're wearing the tiger covering your body is looks like you're using splitter face paint. Splitter is an indoor face paint. Painting your face with splitter should help you blend in better when you're infiltrating a building. Ah, you're wearing the mask. I made it myself. Pretty good work, don't you think? A while back, they were planning to disguise someone as this one GRU officer and send him in to steal some secret documents. I created the mask for that operation. But then the mission ended up being canceled. And then the Major came and told me to throw it out. Can you believe that guy?
But you didn't throw it out.
Are you kidding? Tossing a superior quality product like that into the garbage without using it will be an insult to science. So I decided to sneak it into your gear.
Okay, but is it really that big of a deal?
Of course it is.
What's so great about it?
Everything. But if I had to pick one reason, I'd have to say it's because it's the first mask ever that can blink its eyes.
What about the lips?
What's that?
Can it open its mouth?
That's a good one, Snake. You crazy, man.
I'm serious.
Are you even listening to me, Snake? Where's your common sense? Damn.
Sorry.
I see you're wearing the olive drab uniform. Olive drab, or OD for short, is the standard battle uniform for GIs. It's a solid color outfit with no camouflage pattern, so naturally it's not going to be much use as camouflage. I'd change into something else as soon as possible if I were you. The woodland paint is most effective in forest environments. It'll work best if you use it when infiltrating forest areas. When you're using the wearing the leaf pattern camouflage, are you? Leaf pattern is a forest camouflage created to provide cover in woodland areas. Now that our involvement in Vietnam looks set to expand, they're thinking about adopting it for official use. It'll help you blend in, especially well when you're hiding in the bushes. So you're wearing the tree bark camouflage. Tree bark is a forest pattern created primarily for use by hunters. It'll give you an exceptionally low profile if you wear it when you're pressed up against a tree. Looks like you've got the squares pattern on. Squares is a mountain camo that's basically a bunch of square patterns. It might look conspicuous at first glance, but it actually blurs the contours of the person wearing it and makes them more difficult to pick out. It should give you a low profile against reddish backgrounds like bricks and rusty metal. Haha, so you're wearing the black camouflage. The black uniform isn't really camouflage. It was intended to have a psychological shock effect on enemies in hostage rescue operations and stuff like that. But it should also make you pretty hard to see if you wear it in a dark environment. And it might also work on black, earthy surfaces like you'd find in swamps. In addition to a Snake, what's up? Why are you naked? I know there's a naked option under uniform that lets you take off the upper part of your uniform, but without a shirt on, your camouflage sucks, and your stamina goes down faster. You don't get any advantages whatsoever.
Sure there are.
Like what?
It feels good.
Man, you do whatever you want.
I will, thanks. Just one question, though.
What?
Is there a way to take off my pants?
Say what?
My pants, can I?
Oh, hell no! This Fox unit is a nut fest! Pattern clothing, face paint, tactical...
Do you want to save? Okay, good luck, Snake.
Thanks.
You want to save? Chin up.
I'll be in touch.